And joining me now are two people who arguably represent opposite sides of the Republican divide. Congressman Tom Cole of Oklahoma, an ally of John Boehner, and a member of the House GOP leadership, and former Senator Jim DeMint, now, of course, the head of the Heritage Foundation, who once said this.
There have 30 Republicans in the Senate who believe in the principles of freedom than 60 who don't believe in anything.
So now setting up where you guys are, Jim DeMint, Tom Cole, welcome back to Meet the Press. Senator DeMint, let me start with you. Explain the beef that conservatives have with McConnell and Boehner. Explain it for the audience.
It's not just conservatives, Chuck. I mean, it's all over the country. What I hear, the party is really united outside of Washington. They don't follow their own party platform. The things that were mainstay 10 years ago of balancing the budget and limited government and getting rid of cronyism is now called radical or far right by Republican leadership in Washington. Now, at Heritage, we're not Republican or Democrat, but we do want leadership in Washington to carry those basic common sense conservative ideas forward. And I know we, along with millions and millions of Americans, are just frustrated that this Republican Party has not stood up to President Obama for his whole term in office.
Tom Cole, I hear this time and time again, that they don't understand why John Boehner doesn't fight harder. What do you say?
Well, it's just nonsense. And when he became Speaker, the budget deficit was $1.4 trillion a year. This year, it'll be under 430. We've got the first real entitlement reform, which lowered the unfunded liability in the Medicare fund by $2.9 trillion. You know, he's passed more legislation, frankly, than any other speaker. He's not had a Republican Senate until the last few months. He still doesn't have a Republican president. What he's done, operating, frankly, as the one place where we had Republican control for multiple years, has been really exceptional.
Well, Senator, respond to that. There's only so much John Boehner and Mitch McConnell can do without a Republican president. You say that that's just not true?
Well, any cut in spending was a result of a conservative fight. We called it cut, cap, and balance. Neither the leadership in the House or the Senate was with us on that. But the conservatives from around the country basically forced them into considering some cuts which have taken effect and made some difference. But every issue becomes a fight. Every year we're fighting about just some reasonable reductions in the growth of spending and standing up to Obama, whether it's on controlling the internet or changing the national franchise.
Well, what is a change in Speaker? What will it do?
Well, we're not advocating one.
I understand you're not advocating, but what would that do? A change in leadership, either in style or in personality? What do you think that would do?
Well, I think what conservatives need, and I would assume what a lot of Republicans around the country want, are leaders in Washington who are advocating for those principles that we know made this country great and will make life better for every American. We just don't hear that out of them. We don't even hear a plan. We're 2 weeks from the end of the year. Have you heard anything from any of the leadership in Washington about what we're going to do here at the end of the year? How can you build support for something if you won't lay out a plan and let people know that this is what we stand for and this is what we're going to fight for?
Tom Cole, explain why you probably can't get a budget passed that's going to, quote, defund Planned
Well,
Parenthood.
with all due respect to my friend, I mean, taking credit for what you didn't do is the wrong thing to do. Look, John Boehner negotiated the Budget Control Act. That's what lowered the deficit, and that's just the fact. In terms of, you know, not
Mitch McConnell said it's not going to happen.
Well,
until there's a Republican president.
We've already passed legislation through the Appropriations Committee that defunds all Title X funding, including Planned Parenthood.
So you just blame the Senate on this?
No, I don't
Mitch
blame
McConnell's
anybody
fault?
on this. No, I don't blame anybody. I blame the President of the United States. You know, we have a Republican president. We don't appropriate to Planned Parenthood. We appropriate the Department of Health and Human Services. It then awards grants. Right. So, frankly, you got to have a president that'll give you a department secretary that'll actually follow those principles.
All right, this is going to be something that is going to be continued, and it could be a crazy 6 weeks. Tom Cole, Jim DeMint, thanks for coming on and being civil. All right,
Good to be with you.
Let me bring in the panel now.